So you're doing all the right things. You feel like you're getting success, but something still feels off. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to make sure that you guys can see me, that I'm in the right places. Hop in, say hi, tell me where you are, tell me where you're coming in from. I'm going to go ahead and put up some quick stuff. Here we go. Here is what we're going to be talking about today. Hey, hi. So make sure how come? All right. See, this still is not, I'm having an issue where in one of my places that I stream in, it it's always private. And I haven't been able to figure out how to do that. It's live in two places, but private in the other place. So nobody can join me live there. So if you are joining us live, just tell me where you're joining live from. Are you on LinkedIn, Facebook? Still, for some reason, it's not letting me go live. It's keeping it private in one of my Facebook groups. And I thought I had fixed that, but it looks like it's still the same problem. So we're going to have to go back to the drawing board on that one. But we're going to talk about, like, have you ever looked at your business or looked at your life and on paper, it looks like this is what it should be. Like, I'm achieving, I'm successful, I'm hitting the benchmarks, I'm hitting the goals, but something still feels off. There's still this dissatisfied feeling. And then what do you do? Like, number one, what does that mean? And then number two, what do you do about that? Okay. Particularly if you start to feel like this doesn't feel like me anymore. So, I had this happen to me very, very boldly. And it took a long time to move through this. This is why I'm going to help you kind of shorten it. So for me, this was after I had gone through my daughter's cancer, I had gone through my domestic violence divorce, and I was rebuilding the business that I had had for 10 years at that point. And I felt this deep conflict because I was rebuilding my business. I was doing the things that I was supposed to be doing. I was moving back up the career path after kind of having this life crisis, right? But my spirit just felt off. I felt this calling to write a book, to start building, Making Cancer Fun, that my other business, to start helping parents. There's this great saying that if you've gone through the fire and you've survived, you have an obligation to go back and throw water on people who were still in the fire. And that was really how I was feeling. And so I felt very conflicted. I remember talking to mentors, and I think part of it for me was I felt like I couldn't do both. I felt like I either had to go in one lane or in the other lane, and moving into the other lane and pursuing this other business meant that I was, walking away from the business that had supported me for over a decade, that I had relationships in, that I had, people that I was mentoring and coaching. And so there was this really deep internal conflict, and it kept me stuck. And that was the bad part. It kept me stuck for years because I had one foot in, one foot out. I really wasn't committed in any place. And so what happens is we can sometimes end up building a business or building a life that's based on expectations. So what does that mean? It's what your parents thought you should do. I have a very, very successful girlfriend, and we talk all the time about the fact that in her family, she was very brilliant. She was very smart. She was top of her class, that her family really expected her to go into, it was like law or med school or something very prestigious, but she is wicked funny, super, super creative. And we talked, I said, as adults, I was like, I had no idea because, I was a theater kid. I was in the creative. I was a dancer, for competitive dance. Like, I was in all the art stuff, and she wasn't. She was like a sports, science, super smart kid. I'm like, I had no idea you had all of these creative juices going on in there. And she's like, because it never even occurred to me that I could do those things or pursue a career in that. Right. So a lot of us go into career paths, or we go into schools or whatever based on what our family expected us to do, not because that's where our soul was. Right. It can also be because once we're in that field, we follow the norm. We follow what everybody else is telling us we should do. This is the next goal we should have, and this is certainly true in my business. In the first business I started, which is in the direct sales, world, there's definitely like, oh, do this next, oh, do this next, oh, do this next, and for some people, that next doesn't really align with what they want, right? And so it's being really clear on why am I doing these things? Are they because society tells me I should do these things? Because my parents had told me I should do these things? Because this is what my spouse expects from me? Because this is what my social group expects from me? Like, why am I pursuing this? Because what happens is that's going to lead us in a place where we're going to be stuck, frustrated, and unfulfilled. What we want is our life to be aligned. I really believe that you were created by God for a purpose and that you have unique gifts that are for you to live out. And when we are in alignment, when our life is a reflection of this alignment of why we're here, what we're meant to impact, do, how we're meant to impact. So how do you know? Like, what are some warning signs that you might be struggling in this area? One is a lack of energy. This is for sure. If you find yourself saying, I'm tired all the time, I would venture to say it's not so much that you're tired, but you're totally whacked out of alignment. It's interesting when we're doing things that we really love, we're really not tired. When we're doing things that we really enjoy, we're really not tired. It's when we're doing the things that don't light us up, that don't set our soul on fire, that then we're tired because it's literally our energy is like, don't make me do this. Don't make me do this. So this is a big warning sign if you constantly are saying, I'm tired. Now, obviously, guys, there's times in your life where that's going to be the case. Let me tell you, when I was living in a hospital 24/7 with a daughter who had stage 4 cancer, I was friggin' tired, right? So you have to, again, this is about awareness, right? Is it a circumstance? Oh, my computer's about to die. Let's plug this in. Is it a circumstance that you're tired? You just had a newborn. You're going to be tired. I was just telling a friend of mine who has a newborn, I'm like, yeah, be prepared to be tired for the next 18 years, right? So it could be a circumstance. But if this is a chronic, I'm always tired, I always feel like I'm out of alignment, this is a warning sign for you, okay? Another is if you get distracted. You start to focus on what you think you're supposed to be doing, but you're constantly getting distracted with other activities, other things that are happening. And you're like, oh my gosh, why am I so distracted? And it could just be because it's so difficult to stay aligned in a road, think about like driving a car. It's like you're trying to stay on a path that your car's not supposed to be on. It takes a lot of work. You're getting distracted by the other paths that you might want to explore, right? Another one is if you think you're lazy. And this kind of goes a little bit back into the energy. You think you're lazy. You think like, why can't I just get stuff done? Well, it's probably not that you're lazy. It's probably that you're misaligned, right? And then this is a big one where you're productive. Again, you're checking the box off, you're getting the things done, but you're unfulfilled. You just know in your heart there's an unfulfillment. And I will say, and I think all of us are guilty of this, when we are in alignment, when we are connected with our spirit and our God, our creator, life is so different. There is so much clarity. There is so less chaos. It is like that idea that you can be in a tornado, but in the center of the tornado, it's calm. And I believe that when we're in alignment with our soul and with our source, God being our source, there is calm. And no matter what's going on in the world, no matter what's going on in our community, no matter what's going on in our job, no matter what's going on in our family, we can stay in a place of peace and alignment. What happens is when we're out of alignment, it's like we're stepping into the tornado because we're in an area we shouldn't be in. And this is why alignment is so incredibly powerful. And I have experienced the times in my life when I am in alignment. I call it the God zone. It's the only way I can describe it. It is like miracles happen, doors open, opportunities show up. There is an ease, there is a joy, there's a sweetness when you are in that alignment place and when you're not. And when you're not, it is like you have to push, you have to work, you're the one creating versus just being open to the opportunities and the blessings that God is sending you. So I firsthand know the difference of being in alignment. And so for a lot of people, it's just they're not even aware. They're not in the center. They're somewhere in the tornado and they just think that's how life is. They just think that that's how it's supposed to be. Let me tell you a secret. It's not. It's not supposed to be like that. Alignment is sweet. It is a sweet spot. And a good question to ask yourself is, does your life, does the work that you're doing, and this could be at home as a mom, this could be in a career as an employee, this could be as a business owner, does your work represent your greatest gifts? Are you using your natural gifts? And I will say, if you're like, I have no idea what my strengths are, I have no idea what my gifts are, there's a great, and there's a free version. It's called the Strength Finders. It's for the Gallup, GALLUP, I think, but it's called Strength Finders, and you can take it. It's a quiz. And there's a free version and that'll give you like your top few strengths, and then you can unlock all of them. But it'll tell you what your strengths are. And it'll tell you this is the kind of things that you would do really well in utilizing these strengths. And I took this as an adult. I wish I had taken this when I was younger because it was such an aha and confirmation. My number one strength is communication. Hello, I'm sitting here communicating with you. So is it any wonder that speaking became something that I should pursue? Right? That is my number one strength. So are you working in your strengths? Okay. And I think a lot of people build their lives based on what other people should expect or what we see that we should go after. It may not even been like your parents saying this is what you should do. It's just that this is what society told us success was, right? How many of us were told, like, go to high school, get good grades, get into a good college, you'll get a good job, and you'll have a successful life. And let me tell you, some of us did that. And then we woke up and we went, what? I was just sold a bag of lies, right? And just because you're successful doesn't mean that's where you're supposed to be. Just because you're successful doesn't mean that's where you're supposed to be. I mean, I remember I had a friend years ago who was very successful, went to an Ivy League school. He was living what everybody else would have determined as very successful. His soul was dying. He literally took off, sold all his stuff, traveled around the world to find himself. Right. And on the outside, everybody would have said, wow, he has hit success. All right. So here's some warning signs if you're building somebody else's life. Okay. We just went over a few of how you might feel, but here's some external ones. You're hitting milestones, you're hitting goals, but you feel empty. The success just doesn't fulfill you. And you feel guilty. Here's another one. You might feel guilty for wanting something more or wanting something different because, hey, everything is fine. What you're experiencing is great. Why are you being so ungrateful when you want something more or something different? Another one is when we keep telling ourselves, I should be happy. Look, I have all this. I should be happy. I should be happy with this. And I will tell you, this is one for me right now. Many of you guys know my story. I went through a horrific domestic violence divorce. I went through my daughter having 3 life-threatening illnesses, raising her as a full-time single parent. I mean, life was not sweet. Life was, hard. And now I'm in a place where life is very sweet and I have a very healthy relationship and my daughter's really great and nobody's having a life-threatening illness. And I'm struggling with this. I know that there's a little bit something more. And that's one of the reasons I'm making some alignments this year. I had to really sit down and say, okay, this life doesn't feel like I'm fully in alignment. It's very good. There's so many great things. I have a lot of the things that I prayed for, right? It's that saying that sometimes you wake up and you go, wow, I have the things that I prayed for, but I know I'm not in full alignment. I'm kind of here. And so I'm making serious shifts and changes to get here. And it's uncomfortable because it's comfortable here. But I know there's beauty here. Okay. So I'm going to show you the 3 alignment pillars. How do you get alignment? Number 1 is your values. Are you building an alignment with your current values or with values that maybe were yours, but they're not yours anymore? Life has a way of changing us and changing our values. So maybe they were your values at some point, but maybe something has happened, life has happened. I mean, hey, major life things can change our values. And if you're like, well, I've never had a really major life thing happen. Yes, you did. We all did. We all went through the pandemic together. That's a major life thing. That's a major thing that will shift your values and make you think about your life, right? So your values. Now, I will say, if you're a member of Hey Girl You Can, and I'll put this up here, if you're a member of Hey Girl You Can, in your library, in your resource library, there is a workbook on your core values. It's the core values something. I don't remember the name of it, but it's core values. And you have access to that because you're a member. It will really help you take a deep dive into what your core values are. So if you're like, I'm not really sure, this is what you want to grab. Go into your library, go grab your resource, download that out. It'll walk you through understanding your core values. Okay. So that's in there. You have that already. Okay. The other one is energy. When I teach the Power of Pause workshop, and this is one that I do in person, So I will say if you have an organization that would be, that you want to kind of share this work with, reach out to me. But the power of pause is we do an energy mapping where we make a grid and we indicate like what's giving you energy, what's draining your energy. And of those, what are you doing a lot and what are you not doing enough of? And where do you need to shift? What lights you up? What really sets your soul on fire and what drains you? And are you doing more of the what drains you and not enough of the what lights you up? Right now, maybe you're like, Tara, what lights me up is writing. Like I've always wanted to be a writer. I've always wanted to write a book, but I have a full-time job that pays my bills. I cannot just give that up and become a writer. I get you, dude. I get you as a full-time single mom who was supporting my daughter. Yeah, I totally get that. Right. Like there were so many times I dreamed, I'm like, I just want to run away and live in Bali. I can't, I got a kid. Right. But where can you start to do more of those things? Could you get up a little bit early and write 30 minutes every day? Could you carve out 30 minutes to start blogging or journaling or writing that dream book that you've always wanted to do? One of the things that we talk about in Hey Girl You Can is we do co-working sessions together so that we can just get an hour to focus on those dream goals, those things that we really want to do, but we just don't have time to do. Right? It's carving that time out. We talk about that you don't need a lot of time. You just need a little bit of consistent time so that you can start to take steps that get you out of the tornado and into the center. And you don't know where those are going to lead. And for some people, it's not quitting their full-time job and being an author. It's simply doing that work and writing and maybe having a blog or writing a book that fulfills you while you're still doing, the other work. It's not an all or nothing. And remember, that's what I said in the beginning when I was out of this alignment because I was working my full-time direct sales business, but I felt this calling to write a book and to help parents who had kids going through life-threatening illnesses. And I felt so stuck for so long, for years, because I felt like it was an all or nothing versus that, well, what if it could be both? What if I could actually do both? And I still have my direct sales business. It's still my full-time income. And I have Hey Girl You Can. And I have Making Cancer Fun. And that's where you want your life to kind of be in harmony. This isn't about balance. All things are not equal. I teach a class about this. I have a master class. And if you're interested, drop comment Harmony. I'll send you the info. I, for a long time, thought we were looking for balance in life. Let me tell you, balance is a lie, and you don't even want it. Balance is all things are equal. That is not what you want. Do I want my job to be balanced with my daughter and my family? Absolutely not. Do you want that? Absolutely not. We look for harmony. How do you create a life that's harmonious? Harmony means it's disconnected notes that are pleasing to your ear. And guess what? Everybody likes different harmonies. Some of us like country music, some of us like Christian music, and some of us like old school rap. Right? So everybody likes a different harmony, and it's creating a life that you like, not that your parents like, not that your teachers like, not that your sister likes, not that your neighbors think they should like. It's your life. You're the one who has to live it. Does your life reflect what you want? I mean, it is crazy to me how many people, I've coached over 1,000 women. I get women who are like, no. When we do our total transformation day, I can't tell you how many people are like, my life isn't a reflection of the harmony that I want. I've created something that this isn't even what I would choose. And how does that happen? It just happens because we take steps forward and we don't stop and slow down and go, what am I doing? What am I creating? I think this is why the Total Transformation Day is so powerful, because it's a really deep dive intensive. And it's only happens a couple times a year. It's not open right now. If you want to get on the wait list, I'll pull up the wait list really quick. If you want to get on the wait list, you can click here. Otherwise, comment wait list and I'll get you the link. But this is where we take this really deep dive into saying, okay, is the life that you're creating the life that you actually want? Like, is this the transformation? Or do you need to transform this? Like, I'm headed down a road. I keep stepping into the tornado. How do I get into the center? Well, you only get into the center by choosing to get into the center. By looking at how did I get into the tornado, by looking at why am I in the tornado, what is misaligned, and then making actions, taking actual actions to step into the center, right? So that's the key. So if you want that, just comment. I'll get you the info on that. And then the last thing is impact. Is your life truly making the impact in how you want to serve? I believe that we are here to serve. There's tons of research that shows that people who serve, who give back, who use their life in a way that has impact, that has meaning, are happier. As humans, we have a desire to make a difference. Do you know that one of the fastest ways to grow a child's self-esteem is to have them volunteer? Volunteer. Because when they volunteer, they feel like they're important. And doesn't everybody want to feel important? Doesn't everybody want to feel significant? Right? And your business and your life and your career, it's a mirror. So if you look at your life or you look at your business and it feels heavy and it feels exhausting, it's because you're out of alignment. And here's what's really hard is it may have been in alignment at one point. There may have been a time that the things that you were doing were totally in aligned with where you wanted to be, with the dreams that you had, where you wanted to go. But as we grow, as we have different life experiences, we change. And so sometimes that goal, that dream that we had, kind of changes. And sometimes we can hold so tightly to that, we're unwilling to change with it. And this is where we get stuck. Okay. So here's a really great question. And you can ask yourself this, journal on this. What's one area that you're building, one area of your life that you're building, and it's coming from a need for approval instead of alignment? See, success is not a title. Success is not an income. Success is not a material possession. Success is when your business and your life align with your spirit and your soul, where you are deeply fulfilled, where you wake up every day in joy, knowing that you are in the center. You are in the center of the tornado, that you're in that beautiful center. And so when you start walking in the direction of your purpose, doors open, miracles happen, things show up that you're like, how did that happen? Another really great question that you can journal and ask yourself is, instead of asking, well, what should I be doing? Start asking, what do I want my days to actually feel like? See, we get so focused on the doing and we don't get focused on what do I actually want? What am I actually creating? What do I want my day to feel like? When I wake up, what do I want that to feel like? That's a totally different question than what should I do today? Right? So there are two places that I can support you in this. If you're wanting to make these types of shifts, if you're wanting to get into this alignment. So one is within the Hey Girl You Can community. That is one place that I can support you. And I will put that here on the bottom here. So one is on the Hey Girl You Can community. This is a very low cost way that we can work with each other every month. You get access to mentoring and coaching, get access to classes that are really designed to give you this alignment. You get our resource library where you're going to have things like our time audit. You're going to have things like our core values, and you're going to have our confidence journal and things that will help support you in shifting into getting into the center here, getting into alignment. We talk a lot about how you do one thing is the way you do everything. So if you're a solopreneur, a business owner, and you're like, I'm out here trying to figure it out, this group is for you. If you're somebody who has bigger dreams, bigger goals that you haven't stepped into yet, this group is for you. Okay. So this is one way that I can serve you and support you within our community. And that's the cheapest way that you can do that. Okay. Now, the other way is through working with me on my VIP intensive day. And this is called the Total Transformation Day. If you go to this website here and you click under offers, you'll see the Total Transformation Day. This only happens a couple times a year, because it is a full day over Zoom with me. We take a deep dive, you get a huge workbook, and we really start to pull apart what's not working, where there's misalignment, and then we rebuild so that there is alignment. And you leave with very specific action steps that you can start to take in your life to get yourself out of the tornado into the center. Okay, into that fully aligned dream life where your soul is connected with your spirit and your purpose. All right. Right now, if you get on the wait list, you can't sign up. It's only a wait list. But right now, if you get on the wait list, someone from the wait list is going to win a free private coaching session with me. I do not currently offer private coaching. So this is the only way that you can get that, is to get on the wait list. But those are two ways that I can serve you. And if those feel aligned with you, great. If they don't feel aligned with you, then go seek the place that does. Here's what I would say. Go find the place that will serve you. Go find the community that will serve you. You are not meant to just get up, do your job, pay bills, and eventually die. You are meant to have impact, significance, and purpose. And if you feel misaligned, it's because your soul knows. Your soul knows you are meant for more than this. And so you will stay stuck until you take action to do something differently. So whether that's, working with me in one of these two places or finding a place, if it's not me, finding where are you going to take different action. And sometimes we just need that mentor, we need that coach to guide us into that step. And so if it's not me, find that person who can guide you, that can help you see where am I stuck in the tornado and how do I get into a line. So thank you for hanging out with me today. What I have here in the corner of this free workbook is these are the 20 questions to basically reinvent your life. So anytime I'm stuck, I start to ask myself questions to help me get clarity so I can get back to the center. And so these are some of the questions that I ask myself. It's a free workbook if you scan it. If you're watching and you can't scan it, then just comment 20 questions and I will send it to you. I'll send you the link. But these questions hopefully give you some clarity so that you can start to take some aligned action. So thanks, guys. I will see you next week.